So I'm here in a trade on gold, and I'm gonna do a quick breakdown as to why I shorted against this clearly uprising trend, um, and how I took this position. So we have, let's get rid of all of the noise here. So if we're looking at the 4 hour, right, I generally look for these kind of like M tops and W's, right, for entries on sell entries and sells or buys, right? So these kind of W's here for gold. And you can see, this is kind of an M top here. We have kind of one here, and we have all this untested resistance down here, right? We wicked on it. This is liquidity that's going to want to get grabbed at some point. And you can see this formation just kind of melting over. So this is the 4 hour, right? Moving down into the 15-minute here, you can see that we've continued to drop. We've broken past this level here, and a lot of times when we drop, we'll make these little humps like this, and then it drops, come back, hump, drops again. So I'm looking at the 15-minute, I'm seeing this kind of formation happening, and it's not as clear on the 1 minute. Right, on the 1 minute, it looks like we're trending upwards. So when we use our Fibonacci, we draw our trend line, right? We can see these different resistance levels. We have a trend line here that was broken, that came upward this way. And then we had the trend line here, this bottom trend line. And this happens pretty often. You'll see this when, like after a drop, where it starts to create that trend upwards, after a big drop at least, starts to create that trend upwards and then just dies. It'll kind of M top again and then dies. And you can see that here a little bit, right? Not as much. There was like right here, it's perfect, right? Boom, 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 and then dies, came back up again for another retest, and then died further. So a lot of times what will happen is you'll have like a trend here, and then it breaks that trend, creates that little hump, right? Might redo a recheck or something like that before coming back down. Right here is a perfect example. Boom, 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 boom. There's a trend going right through this section here, and you can see as we broke this trend, we started getting downward handles right here, hammers right here, and just push down to a further level. And you'll see that over and over and over again in a lot of situations when you're coming from a big drop. And you have it kind of here as well. We had a bit of a trend here, and created this M that happened, right? This bit of an M here, and started working its way back down. So the M's will push downwards, the W's will push upwards. As you can see, we have kind of these W's here as they're pushing up, W here as they're pushing up, and then what happened? This isn't a completed W. This is almost a micro head and shoulders as it's pushing down. So this breakout on the trend and then retesting, you can see my entry, I wait for it. It's retesting right up against that trend, not breaking past it, wicking off right here, finding that entry, and then just playing this all the way down. I can play this down further. I'm playing this down to the bottom of this level here. And I can even, if we're looking at the 15-minute, we can see, again, removing the noise, you can see all this untested support down here that it's going to want to come grab. And also, again, this M, the actual untested support is all the way down here. So I could really move this buy limit down even further. I like to, a lot of the times, because we're probably going to get a retracement here on this movement right at the top of this candle. So let's watch it. You'll see how this buy limit makes it basically to the bottom of this wick, right? And that's kind of what it did previously. It wicked off of this, came back up. This is on the 1 hour, right? Wicked off of that and then came back up. So this may make a lower low. This could come down a little even further to here. Or I'm sorry, to here, the top of this candle here. And so I can play off, it'll generally bounce right off the top of that, the body of that candle, or even maybe even just the wick. So I like to put it a little higher. We'll watch it as it creeps down lower. You can see this hump forming. Now what we are going to watch out for, and we'll go ahead and put our buy stop in, which should have been in the beginning of the trade. But what we might see is a little bit of a bounce off of this area, retesting the zone before dropping again. You'll see that in other drop sections, right, where we start creating these humps. So let's find another decent drop here. Bum, bum, bum. I'm looking for something like this, but look at, you see right here, boom, bounce, made that lower, right, just right off of this drop here. This is a little bit of a different setup, but drop, bounce, kind of haggled in this area before dropping again. A lot of the times when it does these little humps like this, it's just going to continue down until it hits that support, especially when there's no support. These have support immediately. So, like even here, bounce, you kind of have this little hump here, came, bounced off of here, created another little hump before dropping lower. But again, there's support that it hasn't hit just quite yet. And then, so yeah, or even right here on this kind of smaller scale here, right? But I'm looking for areas that haven't created support yet. So, and I think this is a really good example where it wicks off right at the kind of the base of this candle here, or the tops of kind of this area, right? And then comes back up, tests, higher resistance areas, and then drops back down again to again come test untested support and resistance areas. So the market price will always go back to where price has been, where it's come from, and it's been untested, right? Like even on these movements up, you can see when it's trying to move up, it's bouncing, bounces off of this, comes up, bounces off of the other untested support, bounces off of this area. You can see the top of this candle right here, kind of moving its way up. And so it'll always do that, and then it'll do that in a major way, like we're seeing right now on this untested support down here. So we'll keep watching it and kind of see what this trade does and see if it goes all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and move this buy stop just behind where my order is. And I think even now would be a good idea, considering that we're seeing kind of a retracement here. We could exit out. I'm expecting a bounce kind of right off of here, right? So we could exit out and then just scalp, find a re-entry. Sometimes you're not as lucky on the re-entry. So we can absolutely, this is the line I'm talking about right here, just right off the bottom, basically where this green Fibonacci is. And right off the bottom here, off these two Fibonacci's, where I'm expecting kind of another hump. With the, I think the smart thing to do would be to at least protect our position here. I don't believe it's going to come back up. Now, the thing that, so now we're looking out for is we didn't break this low. So since we didn't break this low, I'm actually going to come up to this shoulder right here. And this is going to be the first area that it kind of bounces off of. And the reason for that is if it breaks the low, that generally is a sign for a continuance. If it doesn't break the low, we might be looking at something else that just hasn't formed yet. We do have the possibility of it creating, like I said, that W. And, I know we're up $2,000. This is probably still easily, if it comes and hits here, about $1,000 trade. And then we'd be looking for a second entry. So I'm going to remove kind of these lines here, and we'll fast forward through just the play. So I went ahead and closed that out. We broke past the barrier here, this bottom here, which means it's gonna continue upwards. Um, just protecting that little bit of profit. Still made $1,000 on the trade. Could have cashed out off of this zone here. I think I originally had my buy there, my buy stop there, but I was trying to show where it would move to, and I do believe that there most likely will be a continuance. So let's watch kind of what the price action does and see if we can find another entry, see if it changes up either going upwards or downwards. I'm not seeing, other than just this bottom here, um, you can still see right here that you see, well, here's a big thing too, is we're getting a lot of green wicks from the bottom here and not a lot pushing down. So these green wicks, or just these wicks in general, when you have more wick on a certain side of the candle, uh, in general, right, you're getting this identification that this is where the market's trying to push to. So it's pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, and also now creating a newer trend here where this is a higher low, right? So we'll continue watching. We will probably, what the market has done before will happen again. So we can look back and kind of see something like this where we came off this drop, it kind of humped a little bit, and you can see these wicks still pushing up, and then it came up before kind of breaking that zone again, um, and starting to push down. So we'll see if that ends up happening. See again here, boom, humping, then dropping. So we'll see. We'll watch it a little bit, see what this candle does. I like to watch it on the 1 minute. So you can see really big rejection wick off of this area. Now it is a green wick. I want to see kind of a motion downwards to see if that is the peak of where it wants to reject off of. Right, we have order blocks here, tons and tons of sell order blocks here. We do have a red candle wick here, and then you can see on this volume indicator that there's sell volume coming in and motion downwards. Again, wicking out from the top there. So tons of order here. I'm going to go ahead and take another position now that I have that confirmation, and I can kind of ride that down from here. Now, I want to be careful with this, and I'm going to put a buy stop just behind this secondary candle right here, right behind the first order block. And this is because if we are changing sentiment here, I'm expecting it to at least come down to this order block here. But I don't believe it'll break this high. But also lining up with just, look at, we have the sell volume still coming in. We have candle wicks pushing downwards here. Got in a bit of an awkward position here, but the market is clearly, you can see all of these blocks here, and just watching the fight kind of happen. And there's going to be easily another test back in this area, so I could just play this to here and be safe. Here's the buy limit. I'm going to move buy limit down a little bit just behind these candles that obviously created kind of a bit of a wall there. Minimizing our risk. Here, and I'll clear this up so you guys can get a clearer picture. And I'm assuming this candle will kind of break just below this area, probably right at my buy line. Yep, or at my sell line. Double checking confluence here. See, we are hitting a buy delta, and what I'm not liking is these sells have kind of stopped here. But we're going to protect our trade as we see we're getting order blocks here now for buy blocks. I do believe it's still going to be coming down still to this level. So what I'm going to do is see now that we're wicking off right off my order here. As soon as we break this level, I'm going to protect my order with my buy stop, basically going to a zero risk once this passes this level here. Now, if I start seeing candle movement that I don't really like, then I could exit the trade early, just based off of, it's looking like these wicks are pushing up or something like that. But as of right now, looks pretty solid. I'm going to minimize even further, going just behind these candle wicks that it just made right here. So now virtually no risk on this trade. Another $1,000. Buy stop now in profit. And you can see this order block right here, which is probably what it's coming for. I can move this down, but boom, we're hit, another $1,000, and we're good to go. So that's basically confluence looking for things that break out on certain levels. You can see we rejected still right off the top of that original trend line that we broke out of. And that's right where those order blocks are. We rejected off of the Fibonacci, which is the red Fibonacci here. Tons of order blocks using, this is the liquidity spectrum visualizer, Big Beluga, that provides order bubbles as well as volume, and then rejection blocks as well. And then using trend lines and just the Fibonacci retracement. So there you go. Is that. So I wanted to add to this video, because I got out of that last trade a little early, but I wanted to show what it was that I was talking about that retracement. As you can see right here, basically where I had marked off previously at the bottom of this section where I was getting ready to take profits for the retracement, you can see it literally bounced right off of that section, and now what do you see? A retracement back upwards. And I had mentioned, about it creating those humps, dropping, and then coming and creating a secondary hump. So I just wanted to show that. I did end up catching another entry on, as it was passing this level. I grabbed another entry to this area, and I basically cashed out right on the blue line just above it. But I just wanted to show how that stayed true, and I could have played it down from that secondary entry that I took down to this zone, like I had originally mentioned, but I wanted to show how that worked, and how these humps, or even on the 1 minute scale, you can see the little humps here. These little humps, secondary hump, testing the zone, and then coming back down. So even after that drop there. So this was their original, entry here from this drop to here, and then our secondary entry was kind of right in the middle of this, and we stopped it right here. And then I caught another one as we were breaking the zone, just kind of as we broke there. This candle was kind of turning green here. I caught the entry, followed it all the way down, all the way to here, and just kind of cashed out there. So, alrighty, have a good one.